Hey guys, and welcome to Mr. Mini Painter Tutorials, and today we're going to be painting some Death Eaters from the Harry Potter Wizarding Duel games by Night Models. I'm going to be painting two simultaneously as they mostly have the same colors, and in this tutorial we're going to keep it short and easy, and I'm going to show you how to turn them into these. First, you start with priming your models, and in this tutorial I'm going to use some contrast paints, so I like a light gray prime on my models. But of course you can choose any prime you want. You can start with black, as we are going to be using a lot of blacks as well, but it's harder to differentiate within those black tones. And for this first layer I'm going to cover the majority of the model, which is a cloak, with Black Legion. Black Legion is a nice matte black contrast paint by Citadel Paints, and the reason I like it is because it's quite a solid color. It's not that transparent, but it gives you some depth, some shading, and it gives that nice dark black look. And you want them to be dark and terrifying, so I think this is the perfect contrast paint to start off with. Now once done, they look something like this, and we're going to use the second black, which is Black Templar. Now Black Templar, opposite to the Black Legion we used before, Black Templar is more transparent, as you can see here. So the raised areas they're still visible and quite bright, so you have a more of a translucent look, and you can go over it twice if you want, but once for me was enough. And your models look something like this, so you immediately see the differences between the two blacks. A really black cloak and a more grayish looking rest of the body, which we're going to be giving some details later on. But first there is some small part of skin showing, basically only the hands, and we're going to start with Bugman's Glow to give them a nice base color. Try not to touch the black while doing this, and I'm showing you both models here as well. Second, we're going to be highlighting this with Cadian Flesh Tone. The Cadian Flesh Tone I only used on the raised areas, so the fingers, not the recesses of the hands, and well, yeah, basically that. Next, I shaded it with some Brightland Flesh shades. Make sure to let the paint dry first. I want these models to be quite dark, so some shading on the hands as well is a nice detail. And afterwards I reused my Cadian Flesh Tone to hit those raised areas where the shade also touched the model, just to brighten it up a little bit. And afterwards we're going to use some highlight of Kislev Flesh just on the very tips of the hand, the parts where the light would normally be showing, the knuckles, the bones of the fingers as you see here. Next is the wand, and you can use different colors of brown or black or whatever you want. For this one I used Rhinox Hide, which I highlighted with some Mournfang Brown. This staff has some nice raised parts, which looks really great when highlighted. And for the other model I used a different brown, in this case Thomia Brown. It's a bit brighter, a bit more earth looking brown tone. As I said, you can use many different colors. The wands in Harry Potter, they're all different colors. This one I highlighted with some Steel Legion Drab. Give it a nice twirly effect. Next, I shaded the cloak with Null Model to create some extra dark spots. You can use the first contrast paint if you want to shade those recesses as well. Afterwards, I used a big dry brush with some Mechanicus Standard Gray to highlight the cloak. I didn't want it to be too highlighted, too bright. I want to keep it nice and dark, so I used a quite dark gray color to do so. Now touch those raised areas with your dry brush. And to add a little extra color on both models, I used different colors. In this case, Night Lord's blue on the female character to give it a little bit of color. And on the male figure, I used some Caliban green to give a nice greenish glow to his inner robes. I like the effect. You can choose to do it or not. Keep him black if you want. Now for the metal parts, I used Lead Belcher. Not the mask, just the chains on his waist and the decoration on his chest. And the same with this one. There's a chain in the middle and some buttons on the side of the dress. And some decoration on the chest. Now the mask itself, I wanted to give some bronzy look, so I used Sycorax bronze, which is a very bright bronze, not a dark one. And I want this to be very close to silver, but a little bit off. So that's why I chose the bronze look. Afterwards, I used some Nuln Oil on the inner clothing to create some extra shades, and on the metal parts. All the metal parts, including the mask. I decided later on to use Abaddon Black on the boots, just to create a third black variation of color and give it a nice, intense, dark look. The base I covered with some Basilicanum Grey, which is a contrast paint and creates some nice shading effects instantly. I then highlighted the stone edges with some Dawnstone, not too bright, because I wanted to maintain a dark look, but just to give it some extra sharpness. Make sure to use a very fine detail brush and hit those edges to create some cracks if you want, some damage from the rocks, whatever you like. And my last detail is I used some mood green with a large dry brush to give it a ghostly glow. It's up to you to do this. I mean, I like the effect, but I can imagine that you want to keep it dark. And here they are, my Death Eaters. I really liked how they turned out, and I'm going to make some more. Thank you so much for watching my videos again, and I hope to see you in one of my next ones.